All right, so this is Smart Leader Live. Today we have a special session, and today is a special master class. Um, I have decided to share some thoughts on this subject matter in this Smart Leader Live edition. The Smart Leader Live is a session that we have, is an open session that anyone can participate in. And here we deal with issues of leadership. Our focus is on nurturing leaders by truth. And under the auspices of Emet Leadership Academy, my name is Olatunji Shobodu, and I am the founder and CEO of Emet Leadership Academy. I think some of us have been a part of the sessions of Emet Leadership Academy in the past. I'd like to welcome those of us who have participated in the past. Mrs. Uzoma, I see you. Um, Thank you for joining us again this evening. So I wouldn't want to waste much of our time. I'd like to just get on with the business of the day. On a good day, usually we just take questions, so I just appear, to take questions and to answer them to the best of our ability, and to, also throw the floor open so that participants can make their own contributions. But today, before we do that, I'd like to share some thoughts with you on the subject of leading smarter. Some of us may also have come in contact either by with this um, initiative, either by email or maybe even through Facebook ads. Either way, you're welcome, and I'll just get right on to it. I'd like to, suggest that you feel free to use the chat, to indicate um, whatever strikes you uh, at any point. And if you want to make a contribution, you can also raise your hand. I believe we all know how to do that. And at the appropriate time, I will yield the floor so that we can take questions or comments or contributions on the subject of today. Um, so I'd like to encourage us to participate actively. That's our is our tradition here, is our custom. We believe that as we all share together, we gain even more than whatever any one person, could share. So the subject is: um, shouldn't you lead smarter? Shouldn't you lead smarter? And I just want to say that I'll be looking at the issue in four segments, starting with: why must you lead smarter? Why must you lead smarter? What is this whole idea about, leading smarter? So what's the imperative? Is leading smart really a must? Well, let's examine it from these perspectives. Why must you lead smarter? From wherever you are, whatever point you are today in your leadership role or your leadership assignment, these are some compelling reasons why you must lead smarter. First of all, your people deserve it. Your people deserve it. And we will soon, drill down further in that regard. Your people deserve it. So that tells us that leadership is about people. And you have to take note of the order in which um, the justification is provided. It starts with your people. That should tell us that a credible leader places his or her people or followers, as the case may be, at the most important, level of priority. Second, your purpose deserves it. Your purpose deserves it. Leadership is done on purpose. Leadership is supposed to be done on purpose. There is a purpose for why you are a leader. There is a purpose for why you have been put in charge of people. There is a purpose for why you have a responsibility for people. There is a purpose why you are sitting on that seat, or why you are playing that role of a leader. And you need to lead smarter in order for that purpose to be served as well. You need to lead smarter in order for that purpose to be served. So you see, first is about the people, then it's about the purpose, and thirdly, it's about your future. Now, you are important in the whole equation. You are probably not the most important. A leader should not see himself or herself as the most important, but you are important nonetheless. And your importance has to do with your own future. All right. So your future deserves it. Your future deserves it. You should lead smarter because it has implications, for what becomes of you in the future. For what becomes of you in the future. And you may well look at it. Your future depends on what you do to the people. Your future depends on how well you serve your purpose. Okay? Because if you do the two well, it can open, and it will typically open, greater doors for you. Why must you lead smarter? Avoid waste. All right? There is waste in conducting your leadership assignment. Resources are involved. And if resources are involved on the part of the leader, on the part of the follower, you need to have respect for the utilization of resources. Why should you, for example, devote more time, to getting things done than is required? Why should you devote, more finances, more energy? Okay. I mean, we hear of burnouts today. We hear of leaders being overwhelmed. We hear of followers, leaders finding it difficult to get followers to show up. All right. So all of these speak to the fact that you can always lead smarter, and by looking out for waste, by looking out for where you are putting in, where your input is more than is required to produce the output you're getting, to produce the results you're getting. Or put differently, where your input is not is achieving less than it is potentially able to achieve, or less than what some other people are using, are consuming to achieve a similar result. You should lead smarter because it's in your interest to explore new frontiers. You shouldn't rest on your oars. You should be looking for what more is there to do. What more impact can I make? Except you believe that you are there, or you have arrived, as we say, then there won't be any reason to get better than you are doing currently. You should accomplish more. I mean, generally, you don't lead smarter just because you want to look smarter. You lead smarter because you want to accomplish more. You want to accomplish more influence. You want to accomplish more impact. You want to accomplish more results. You want to accomplish more transformation on the part of your people. These are very credible reasons why you need to lead smarter. All right. So who are these smarter lot? What do we mean? And so here we say, like it or not, in that role of the leader, there are people who are doing better than you. Precisely, there are people who are leading smarter than you are. What do we mean? How is it that people get to do better than you are doing? How is it that they get to have a greater impact on their people than you are doing? How is it that they even produce different results, better results than you are doing? And you're wondering, I mean, if you look around or if you challenge yourself enough to observe what others are doing, you would find certainly that there is scope for you to do better. And you may be puzzled, what's going on? Why is why is this my colleague having a much greater impact on the people than I am? And these are some of the reasons. These are very instructive reasons, I must add. Number one is that they deploy passion better. They deploy their passion better. Not only are they passionate about what they're doing, but they use their passion appropriately. They use their passion appropriately. They are passionate about what matters to doing leadership. They are passionate about people, for example, not so much. They are not more passionate about getting results than they are about, seeing their people develop, seeing their people transformed, seeing their people get better under them, with time. The second thing is they understand purpose better. It's interesting that, a lot of leaders still do not understand the purpose of their leadership. What do I mean? Most times, and you may have found yourself, in that situation, most times the focus of leaders is on results, is on making the numbers, is on achieving the targets. Leaders are bothered about the KPIs. That's what they focus on. So when in their dealings, they see themselves as champions of KPIs rather than champions of their people. They see themselves invariably demanding the cooperation, the input of their people towards meeting the results. For them, the results are the ultimate. And the results can be the ultimate of leadership. Because the moment you regard the results as the ultimate, you have taken your eyes off the ball. You can't, to be frank, lead smart. Why? How can you lead smart when you have the purpose mixed up? The purpose of leadership is not using the people, in inverted commas, to achieve your results. It is working with your people, developing them in the process so that the results can be achieved. There is a major difference between the two. There is a major difference between the two. So many times what we call leadership is using the people to get results. And that affects how we interact with the people. It affects the kind of relationship that we are able to develop with the people. I mean, if somebody is using you, it's different from somebody relying on you to collaborate and cooperate with him or her to get results. Clearly, the attitude will be different. The courtesies that will be accorded in that kind of relationship will be different. So, the people who lead smarter, they understand purpose better. I often, submit that you can as a leader achieve results without your people being impacted positively. Indeed, without your people being transformed. You can. But you can't transform your people into what they should become under you, if you understand purpose of leadership, without getting results. It's not possible. What a leader does is to primarily transform people. Leadership is about people, it's not about results. It's secondarily about results, it's primarily about the people. Leadership is about building the capacity of the people, transforming the personality of the people, giving the people the capacity to get results. The reason why you lead is because you have capacity. And that capacity needs to be replicated in as many people as you have the privilege to lead. That's the way that the value of the capacity that you have, the value of your own skill and competence, that's the way that what you have that you use to, that you pride yourself in to get results, that's the way it can even become more valuable, because you are able to empty yourself in as many vessels as there are, so that what you alone can do can be replicated in as many times, as you have the opportunity to lead. That way, you get more results. That is using the same thing that you have to multiply. You can see the concept of smartness clearly in that regard. So when you understand purpose better, you lead smarter. You lead smarter. Now, they carry the burden of leadership better. Those who lead smarter, those that you are looking at. Some people are overburdened. And leadership is burdensome, whether you like it or not. Why? What do I mean? I say if you are doing leadership, or if you are leading without feeling a sense of burden, by way of sacrifice, by way of the sacrifices you have to make, then you're not doing it right. There is no way to do leadership. There is no way to lead effectively without bearing the burden of sacrifice. There are sacrifices to make. There are sacrifices of your time. There are sacrifices of having to listen to people just because you are a leader and not because of any other thing. Things you ordinarily or otherwise would not have done, you're having to do. There are times you have to put your hands in your pocket and bring out money. Use your own resources in order to meet the needs of those who are looking up to you. At times, you may have to empty your pocket. It depends on how convinced you are about the issue at hand. It depends on how committed you are to your people. So there is sacrifice. If leadership is not costing you anything, you are not doing it right, let alone smart. Let alone smart. And one of the burdens, again, what we regard as the burden, is also truly, our understanding of what the burden of leadership is also can be truly misplaced. I have seen this repeatedly. But you see, the greater burden, if I might just, mention that here, comes when the leader misplaces his or her priorities. A misplacement of priorities, turning the priorities structure on its head, usually will make leadership more burdensome. At some point in this presentation, I asked the question, what are your priorities? What's your, I think maybe even in one of the emails I sent out, what's your top priority as a leader? What's your top priority as a leader? We can do that exercise right away. If you would go to the chat, please, let's make this a bit more interactive. You can indicate, as a leader, what's that top priority? What is that one thing you want to make sure is in place? What is that characteristic that you want to define the environment in which you do you provide leadership? If you want to share that with us, please go ahead in the chat. Let's have some contribution. So, smart leaders, that's what they do. And you can see my next point there. They pursue the right priorities and the structure. So, what is the makeup of these priorities? I've said you can share that in the chat. That single priority, one priority, um, uh, although there are four key priorities, and hopefully I will come to that a little later. Um, the other thing is that those who lead smarter, they manage their vulnerabilities better. They manage their vulnerabilities better. Leaders are vulnerable, like everybody else. We're prone, all right, to losing it. We're prone to being taken advantage of. We're prone, to taking actions or decisions that are inappropriate. When we come into certain situations, we're vulnerable. We're vulnerable, um, and but you must be able to manage your vulnerability. There are things you do when you're annoyed. I mean, you are vulnerable. Some are vulnerable because you can easily get them upset. And if you want to just, you know, create a problem for them, if you want them to lose it, if you want them to, to lose their hold on their function, just get them angry. And they can easily get angry by saying one or two things. All right. Some of them, some are so vulnerable. They are too meticulous. I have been in a class where you find some leaders, they are very meticulous. They like the T's to be properly crossed, the I's to be properly dotted. And when they are presented with something that doesn't quite meet that, again, they can become something else. It means they are very vulnerable. All right, different things. Some are vulnerable in the use of authority. Some are vulnerable, in something as basic as anger. As hunger. Okay, so they manage their vulnerabilities better. That's why they lead smarter. That's why they lead smarter. All right, they don't lose it. They don't fall in the day of their adversity. So they are smarter. They are smarter because they are better prepared. And what could have created problems for them? Because like the case of Will Smith and Co. Who at the height of his career went to slap somebody. We see what that has done to his career. A good leader, a smart leader, needs to rein in his or her vulnerabilities on account of that. You can see the smartness. Because the years of work you have done on your people can be lost overnight because your vulnerability is being tested. And so it's not smartness not to pay attention to your vulnerabilities and to develop the capacity to ride those vulnerabilities, to stay firm and in control at the critical moments. And then of course there is the issue of diligence. Smarter leaders tend to be more diligent. All right, if you like, they are more faithful compared to yourself. They devote more time. They take the responsibility more seriously than you take the responsibility. All right. So, all right, I see your questions and contributions, and I will come to that. Please just keep your fingers crossed, and let's go. And thank you, Kenneth. I see your priorities. It should be that followers fulfill the desired result while having fulfillment. I'm going to ask you at some point what you really mean, because I see fulfillment a couple of times there. But when we come to that time, you will, have some time to speak to this issue. Leaders leading leaders. Okay. I see that comment as well. We will still need to throw some light um, to that at the right time, because there are issues with that statement, and I would point out the issues when we get there. But so please keep the contributions coming. So what does it mean? Let's look at what it means to lead smarter. Let's look at what it means to lead smarter. What is the concept of leading smart? What is the concept, of leading smart? What are we talking about when we talk about leading smart? Now, this is what it takes. If you look at it, um, it's achieving your leadership purpose with greater ease and at lower cost. With greater ease and at lower cost. What that is saying is that some people really struggle with their leadership responsibilities. Some people have is a tug of war to get their people to line up behind them, to get their people to do, what needs to be done. All right, to influence their people without excess, without using a lot of energy, without worrying unnecessarily, without fear that something could go wrong. Okay, so an indication of smart leadership is can you get your job done as a leader without all these worries and challenges. Another indicator to look at is you need to be effective at getting people to hear you, to receive or embrace or abide with what you are saying or the directives, the instructions that you are given, to line up with your expectations, to do what you say. All right? When you are able to do that, you're smart. You are not contending for commitment on the part of those you have responsibility for. Smart leaders need to know how to make that happen and to make that happen quickly. Now, let me say at this point, there is no way you can be effective as a leader without securing the commitment of your people. All right? And commitment is what gives you the platform to influence your people. If I'm not committed to you, you're unlikely to influence me. And my commitment will come because I believe in you. So if I don't believe in you, I can't be committed to you. Now, don't make the mistake of thinking that because I'm carrying out your instructions, that I'm committed to you. No, I can carry out your instructions, because you are using your authority, because I know that the buck stops, on your table. But the idea Sorry, can you please? But what you want is not for people to just carry out your instructions. That's not what you want. All right? You want them to carry out your instructions with a particular mindset, with all that they have, to put in their best, to learn from what you're asking them to do, to become better as a result. That is true following. Not just, to say, okay, because you have said it, we have to do it. After all, he's the leader. All right? That wouldn't serve the purpose of any leader. And any leader who is serious, any leader who wants to lead smartly, has to be mindful of that. Now, the third one, operate sound leadership truths that deliver predictable results. And I'm going to ask at some point, what informs the way that you do leadership? How, your approach to leadership is based on what? What is it based on? Do you have some framework that you use? Do you have some principles that you observe, that you are committed to? And it's not enough for you to tell us that. The truth is, you need to be conscious of that. You need to have principles that you subscribe to that form the basis or dictate your approach to leadership. But much more, if you are truly operating by those truths, the people who are following you must be aware of that. They must be very conscious of that. They must know that this is your approach. So it is possible that, some of us want us to believe that, this is how, my approach is clear, and all of that. But when we ask your people, they would not describe what your claim is. And if they don't describe it, then that's not what you are doing. That's not what you are doing. And if that is what you are doing, you're not doing it well. You are not succeeding, in doing it. But there are what I call brutal truths of leadership that you need to ground your approach to leadership on. They are core principles that they deliver predictable results. Predictable results because principles work. They don't work because of you. They don't work because of me. They work in spite of any of us. Any of us who would care enough to commit to principles will get the results, because every principle requires your responsibility and produces a result. All right? So, do you have those kinds of principles that you operate by? Those who lead smart. They are not depending on what the situation is like to know what it is that they will do. They are guided by certain principles. They focus on building personality primarily instead of pursuing results. Building personalities. Leaders, true leaders, smart leaders who know what the purpose of leadership is. They focus on the personality. They focus on shaping the personality, the person, not just the results. All right? So they shape the person in order that that personality can get results. The reason you get a result you get cannot be divorced from your personality. Anyone that has certain critical attributes, just like you have, will get similar results, if not better results, than you are getting. All right? The reason that you are that effective is because of who you are. And when I say who you are, we're not talking about your name. We're talking about what is your makeup. What are those things, the sources of empowerment that makes you that productive, that makes you, all right, that so-called high flyer, that empowers you to get results. That's your personality at the core. If I tinker or I toy with that personality, I would affect your results. And that's the way that smart leaders, that's their approach to leadership. They are looking at the person before so that they can shape the person to get the results that they want. Let me advance that a bit. And some of us may feel a bit uncomfortable. I often, see that some leaders get uncomfortable when it comes to this particular aspect. Look, the reason you are leading is so that you can make those you are leading like yourself. You may not like that. I'm not saying that they have to change their identity, but their personality will be shaped after yours. What that simply means is that those things that make you that performer, you are supposed to replicate them. They are supposed to be replicated in your people. That's what a seed does. When you plant a seed, what do you think happens? The seed reproduces itself through the fruit. In every fruit, you will see plenty of seeds. Now, when you pick those seeds and you look at the originating seed, they are the same in terms of attributes, but their identities are different. Certainly, they are two different seeds. But you can't produce a seed and it bears no semblance to the root seed that you planted. Leadership is about you, how much, many more of you in terms of your attributes at the core that you can reproduce. That's what leadership is about. That's why it's about people. All right? If you do the right thing with a seed, it will get a lot of fruit. But if you are chasing fruit and you don't do the needful with the seed, you miss the point. You miss the point. All right? Your harvest will be nothing to write home about. So that's what smart leaders do. The other thing they do is they watch. I've used some sort of illustration here. They watch in quotes, to plant their seeds in the right soil at all times. Notice, a smart farmer does not plant on just any ground. They identify on what soil their seed will produce. So those your gifts, those your talents, those your skills, in trying to replicate them, is not everyone that is a candidate, because not everyone is good soil for you to plant. All right? So at this point, let's just take it that why waste your time trying to plant a seed in a soil that is inappropriate? You and I would agree that's not smart. That can be smart, because you are trading off your seed is going to be lost. You are trading off what your seed, imagine the harvest that your seed would have produced, and you're going to waste all the resources, that have to do with that entire procedure, that entire process. All right? So, and many of us are carrying baggages. We are presiding over people that do not constitute the right soil for us to plant on. And we can't identify it. We're not even doing anything about it. So tell me, is that smart leadership? No, because we're simply hitting our heads against the wall. And nothing is going to happen other than frustration. Because until those people are changed, until the right soil is located, your seed, you'll just be wasting it. It will be useless. All right? And remember, we talked about avoiding waste. So if you want to lead smart, you don't want to waste. You don't want to waste your talent. You don't want to waste your skill. You don't want to waste your time, and your resources. You don't even want to waste your emotions, because there are emotions that are involved as well. Emotions are involved. Emotions are involved. When you are leading, emotions are involved. No matter what you say, emotions are involved. Why are emotions involved? Because you are dealing with people. You are not dealing with robots. You are dealing with people. If we're dealing with people, we are all emotional beings. And we respond to emotions. We respond to emotions. Love is about emotion. All right? Many of the attributes, personality is about emotions. And then also, there is the last part that I want to talk about, which is they know how to deploy their multidimensional personality. All right. What I would say here is that there are times that a leader needs to be soft. There are times you need to be compassionate. There's a time you need to be firm and decisive. All right? All within one personality, but different sides of it. All right? So there's a time to be as wise as a serpent, for example, and there is a time to be as gentle as a dove. You see, there are two personalities in one. It is the same person who must act as wise as a serpent, who must also act, as gentle as a dove. Those two personalities will not operate simultaneously. You can't be gentle and at the same time. But there are seasons. There is a time to be smart. There is a time to be a bit more relaxed, to be a bit more compassionate, And again, the smart leaders, they know to develop those sides as part of the attributes, their personality, their wholesome personality, and they know also how to deploy those dimensions of their personality, appropriately when they are dealing with others. What are some of the requirements if you want to operate in this manner? If you want to operate in the manner, I've mentioned like 6 core things there that can make for leading smartly. And if you want to do that, you see there are a couple of things you must exhibit. The first is that you must have clarity of purpose. Sorry, there, if you're looking at the screen, is you must be clear on the purpose of your leadership. So what is the purpose of your leadership? What's the reason that you are leading in reality? In reality, what is the purpose of your leadership? All right? If you don't have clarity, you can't lead smart. You can't lead smart. Second, you need to understand the process of getting people to believe in you. Because in order to get people to hear you, to receive what you are saying, to do what you are saying, it talks about the process of getting people to believe in you. Notice that I said it takes believing in you for people to do all of that. And not to do it on the basis of lip service, to do it indeed and in truth. All right? That is, their entire spirit, their entire person is applied to when you speak, they are listening indeed. When you give instructions, they receive it without rebellion, without reservation, and they act on it to the best of their ability. That's where you want to get to with everyone who is following you. It is hard work, but there is a process. There is what makes people listen, receive, and do every time you speak. And it takes getting them to the place or to the state where they believe in you. Because when they believe in you, they will respect you, they will trust you. You become an influence on their lives. And a lot goes into that. But it's all, again, about principle and understanding what should you do to make sure that some of these things fall into place. Then you need to secure the knowledge and command of the brutal truths of leadership. The principles. There are core principles on which you can implement your own approach to leadership and be effective. And you know that when you commit to these principles, they work. These principles will deliver results. They get the job done. And in a way, because you see, every time you are driven by principle, you are saving a great deal of energy, of resources. Why? Because you are following a formula. You are not like somebody who is doing trial and error. Trial and error results in a lot of waste. Waste of energy, waste of a lot of things, of resources. But when you run on the basis of principle, when you run on the basis of fundamental truths, which require a lot of discipline, by the way, which require discipline, but if you run on them, there is a guarantee that only in exceptional cases will you not get the promised result. Only in exceptional cases. And that point opens up, so many more things, but I can't go into that, So, again, what do they need? What does it take? You need to understand how, why, and what personality serves your leadership purpose. I've said it, that you can't do better You can't perform better than the type and shape of your personality. You can't. Please remind me before we close. I will share with you, if you want to know, gain insight on your leadership personality. I will share with you a link. You can take my leadership personality quiz that you'd answer a few questions, and it will give you a full report on what your leadership personality type is like, and you would have suggestions on how you can improve that as well, all right. Then they need to gain insights into the dynamics of the heart of the followers. Dynamics of the heart of the followers. If you ignore the heart of people that you are leading and your own heart in your approach to leadership, you are not leading smart. Why? Because that heart, our hearts, are central to what we do. They are central. It's like a control, center. You want to gain access to us, to anyone, so that, and to make them do, the things that you desire. You can't ignore the heart. You must know how the heart works, what influences the heart, what to speak to the heart, okay, to to nudge it in the direction that you want. You must be willing to lead with your heart and from your heart. All right, and finally, to study the strategic use of the multidimensional personality of the leader. There are different kinds of personalities that a leader needs to have. All right, there's a time that the leader, in one of my sessions, I talked about the I talked about certain aspects of a leader's personality, where I looked at the leader as salt and the leader as light, just using them as illustrations. That's part of the personality of a leader. There's a leader like a shepherd. Now, there are some leaders that are like foxes, all right? Some leaders we've talked about are like serpents, some are like doves, but the good ones, there's a time to make use of them, all right? And there are certain personality attributes that you have to run away from because they don't make for good leadership. They don't make for good leadership. All right, so what does it actually take to lead smarter? There's the issue of process. And this is simple. Accept that it makes sense to keep improving. That's saying, you are not there yet. You must accept that. Some of us, as simple as it is, we see ourselves as superstars. We see ourselves as doing well. We see ourselves like, the advert, I think it was Mercedes or Audi made some time ago, there is nothing more to add. There can't be nothing more to add. You must never get to a point where you believe there is nothing more to add. All right. So first of all is to accept that it makes sense. It is sensible. That in itself is being smart. To know that where I am, however, whatever my results, whatever my status, I can still go further. And I can go further in terms of results, in terms of impact, all right? In terms of giving proper, significance to my leadership. Then be open to better ways of getting things done so that you can have better results to show for it. Whatever it is you are doing, there is probably a better way to do it that will lead to better results. You need to have that consciousness. You need to have that conviction. And then the third, you have to seek for the better ways and start proving them. And I use the word proving them, especially to prove them means that it is one thing to learn about the better ways. It's another thing to put them to practice and see how they work, because their potency is going to be revealed in their implementation, in your execution. Secondly, you will, because you are learning, you can't be perfect, all right, just because you have read or you have been taught. Maybe whatever you learn, for example, at this session, and then you go ahead and you want to begin to implement them. You won't be perfect just by, implementing, all right, then you are going to try them, see how they work, all right, and then you make adjustments. And there are some things, some better ways that may not suit you. That may not suit you. It's a better way, but you may not have what it takes. You may not have the discipline to implement it yet. So you may have to sort that out before it becomes relevant for your purpose. That's what I mean by proving. You need to prove. When you prove them, then they become a part of how you operate, and then you can see the results, okay, going forward. And then, of course, you become more. You begin to lead smarter. You begin to get results and see all the benefits that we've mentioned, previously. Now, what keeps you from leading smart? What keeps people from leading smart? All right, you would ordinarily think that this is something that should be easy for people to aspire to press towards, but it's not quite. And there are three things that I identify here. The first is that we tend to overrate ourselves. All right, we tend to overrate ourselves. We tend to think that we are there when we are not there. We tend to get deluded, if I might use that word at times, by whatever it is we have accomplished, or maybe by our years of experience, or maybe by, the fact that we are presiding over a large team, and things haven't gone haywire, under our leadership. That doesn't mean that you can't lead smarter. That doesn't mean that you cannot be better than wherever it is, the level that you are on right now. Okay, so you must bear that in mind, not to overrate yourself, because there is always someone ahead of you. There is always something you have not accomplished, and if you really were to look at what you have accomplished to date relative to the potential that you have, you will be humbled. You will be humbled. Yes, you have done well, no question about it. But you are just accomplishing 10% of what you are capable of doing. If you knew that, wouldn't you be humbled? You'll be humbled. And I think that for many of us, we will find ourselves in that kind of, situation. Then where some of us are just satisfied with the status quo. And the status quo is less than what we are capable of doing. That's the problem with it. It's suboptimal. All right? It's self-defeating. And so we don't seek those better ways. We don't try to push ahead. We just like to hang around and bask in the euphoria of, what we're doing, of the impact that we're making, of the accolades that we're getting. Until we discover, we see some other people going ahead of us, and the accolades begin to go down, and our performance is beginning to look quite common. Why? Just because other people, are taking steps to improve themselves and to lead smarter. And then you have the issue of ignorance. Ignorance that is motivated by self-pride. Ignorance. At times, all you see is what you have done. What you don't see is what others have done. What you don't see is what is possible. All right? If you had the opportunity of getting to know what others have done with their leadership, privileges, many of us will cover our eyes in shame, because you will discover. So there is so much more about that, there is to this leadership thing than just whatever it is we're doing, at our level. So I'm hoping that will keep a few of us, more humbled, and we provide, the necessary motivation for us to stretch ourselves, to further develop ourselves, and I have some questions here that could further help you to do that. Are you really at your best in that leadership role? Now, I'm speaking, exclusively on leadership. Of course, you can apply this to other areas of your life, but are you really at your best? Really? The truth is, there is so much more wherever you are today. Whatever may be your age, by the way, or your qualification, there is so much more in you yet to be discovered and to explore. That's truth. It's not even fact, it is truth. Number two, don't your people deserve more? If you are truly a leader at your heart, notice, concerned about the people, don't they deserve more than you are doing? A true leader must give all of herself or himself, including the potential. To the extent that your potential is not fully realized, you are shortchanging the people who are following you. Why? What do you bring to the table? Is your entire self. If you underdevelop yourself, you underdevelop the people who are looking to you for leadership. Is that not fairly simple? So don't they deserve? If you are not doing it for yourself, why not do it because of that? All right? Why not do it because of that? And then, should you even be satisfied yet? How far have you gone in life? What have you achieved to be satisfied at this point? Now, my hope is that those questions can motivate you. What are the brutal truths at this level? I like talking about brutal truths. I have a class, on that, the class of 12, that deals with 12 brutal truths that provide the core foundations for doing leadership right. It's a core of 12 people, and they'll be working with me for 12 weeks, and we're drilling down on those 12 brutal truths. So if you really want to anchor your approach to leadership on a firm, framework, that's the kind of class, that's what I'm talking about, that's the kind of class you want to attend. So here, these are to challenge each one of us. You are far from what you are capable of achieving. So stop underrepresenting yourself. Stop underrepresenting yourself. Shouldn't you lead smarter? That's what we've been talking about. You are shortchanging the people that you are leading. That's not leadership. You can't shortchange the people you are leading, but you shortchange them when you refuse to develop, your potential beyond what you have seen to date. So stop being so self-centered. It's being self-centered. Stop being so self-centered. That's part of the sacrifice associated with leadership. Then, the third point, there are smarter ways of getting real results. So stop accepting less than is possible. Stop accepting less than is possible. So the concluding segment here, I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to deal with all of this, but I'm going to leave, quite a number of what you need to now focus on. The things that they are not very common out there, but they are very crucial. They add to your ability to lead smarter. Very crucial. So, what are some of, I call them the smart parts. What smart leaders do, what they don't do, why, and for what benefit. Now, look at it. Are you discerning enough? Are you discerning enough? What's the issue here? Do you discern your people enough to know how best to lead the transformation they require? Or you just work with your people You don't take time to study them. You know, earlier on we talked about planting your seed in the wrong ground. If you don't discern your people, if you don't know who is following you, if you don't understand them at their core, how can you help them? How can you, be an instrument for helping them to realize their full potential? How can you, as it were, empty yourself or sow your seed in them? We tend to paint everyone with the same brush without caring to recognize their differences. And that leads to exerting more effort than is required to transform them. You can see the problem. What's the smarter approach? You make it a point of duty to discern each follower. Don't paint people with the same brush. Try and understand each person. Acquire the personality development skills, the skills to develop their personalities, and nurture them from where they are. Nurture them from where they are. Nurture them from where you take responsibility for them. Number two, very quickly, and do you have a commanding charge? I call this a commanding charge. And I challenge everyone to self-introspect. Do you give a clear enough charge to your people on what they should aspire to become under your leadership? What should they aspire to become? That relationship is intended to benefit you, but primarily to benefit them. So what should they be looking forward to? What should they be looking forward to? All right? You must set that expectation because it encourages them to commit. They see what's on offer. That's what a smart leader does. You can't just be leading. You shouldn't just be satisfied with the fact that they are getting things done. No. They will get more things done. They will get things done better. They will get things done faster when they can see clearer what's in it for them and they appreciate that this is valuable. So, we're typically satisfied with everyone just doing his or her job towards meeting targets without clarity, offering clarity on what they are working to become under you. What are they working to become under you? What are they working to become under you? And that undermines clarity of purpose. So they are not clear. They are working. But you have not given them clarity of purpose. And you wonder why they are not committed. You and I will be committed when we know what's in it for us. And we need to know what's in it for us very early in the game. Very early in the game. It makes it easier for you to lead when the people know, that's smart leadership. All right? So you give a clear charge that galvanizes the efforts of your people and their expectations. The expectations of both parties. That is your expectation from them, their expectation from you. You married them because you are dangling something and they know what's in it for them. All right? What else? Do you, again, this is a challenge. Have you ever described the personality of a successful leader to your people? Do they know what success in their journey with you looks like? Do they know what they need to develop as attributes of their person that makes them ready to lead and to succeed as leaders? Have you painted a clear enough picture of the personality that makes a truly smart leader? If you have, I celebrate you. I clap for you. But I think there are more people who have not. And what have you done? You are promoting half-hearted commitment because you are not showing them this is what it takes to be successful in my role. And you have to show them. You have to show them. What does it take? What are the attributes that I have to develop? What are you trying to replicate in them that you know that this is important for you to have if you must go forward, if you must do better than me, if you must succeed as a leader? You must paint that picture. Because that's what you are trying to achieve in that. That's what they are trying to achieve in that. Okay? Do you run a people first principle? Do you operate that kind of principle? What do I mean? Do you place the welfare of people, of your people, of those who are following you, of those you have charge over, when they are in distress especially, above policies of the organizations, above regulations, above rules, above even the law? Because when people are in distress, when you are a people first person, you save them before recourse to policy. Because you tell them that their welfare is more important. If it means violating procedure, if it means violating a policy, if it means breaking a regulation, I will break a regulation if it's going to save the life of somebody who I have responsibility for. But you'll be surprised that many of us as leaders don't do that. And it's not smart. Why is it not smart? It's because you undermine the people's commitment to you and to your purpose. Why will I be committed to you when you will rather uphold the policy than attend to my welfare? There are some people, some leaders who will say, so you have one of your subordinates who is critically ill and needs attention, but the policy does not accommodate flying the person abroad or getting the person treated in a particular facility. Why? Maybe because of the level of the person. But it's a matter of life and death. Now, are you just going to say, look, I wish I could help this policy, at your level? All of that is story. Or would you pick your pen or carry yourself and go to the MD or go to whoever authority and go and make a case and insist that policy notwithstanding, life is involved here, this person has to be treated? Now, imagine me doing it for somebody who knows that under normal circumstances, they are not, that they can't enjoy that privilege, and they get it. Do you know what it will do to that person's commitment to me? Do you know? I don't have to blow a lot of grammar. I can count on that person because that person will never forget. Will never forget. But too many times, we call ourselves leaders, and the welfare of the people are secondary. What you care about is the result. There is no extent that you won't go to get results. Even if it's to ask for more resources. I need more puka. I need this. Approve this for me. But when it comes to the life and welfare or well-being of the people, you don't go to the same extent. And you are wondering that the people are not committed. You are wondering that you are not getting results. Now, look at the person who does that. What kind of results do you think? How much commitment do you think the people will apply themselves to that kind of person. That person doesn't have to say too much before he gets people falling over themselves, to ensure that they get things done. Why? Because they saw the person put them first when it mattered most. That's what smart leaders do. That's what smart leaders do. Thanks, Rachel. I see your comment. We'll soon have an opportunity. Let me try and round up. All right. Look at another point here. This is, something here. Strength in what's written. Strength in what's written. Now, I draw this, as you know, Emet leadership, we're influenced by our faith. Truth for us is as found in the Word of God. So we have a lot of inspiration from the Word as we teach, in our approach to leadership. Now, what is written is very powerful. All right. So here I say, do you operate your leadership based on clear, determined, and acquired framework? Talking about those truths, talking about principles. All right, talking about what is written. And here I refer to, many of us might know the situation where, Jesus faced challenges and he was tempted at 3 different levels, 3 different circumstances, 3 different challenges, and each time his response, whenever the challenge came, his response was, it is written. What is written? These are principles. They are principles. These are things that he has learned. These are things that upon which he is running his approach to leadership. It is referring, that is, every time I face a challenge, what my response is based on what I know, what I have learned, what is settled, the principles. Those are the principles, by which I'm running. So you can see that the approach is not beating about the bush. The approach is not trial and error. All right? It is written. That's where he drew his strength from. Because these things are settled, principles are settled. They are not going to change today. They are not going to change tomorrow. They are settled. They've been like that forever. That you plant a seed and that you water it and it needs, sun, and you weed and all that, and it produces a harvest, is a settled principle. It's been like that since the world began, and it will remain until the world disappears or whatever becomes of it. So, do you draw strength from that? Because if you are not anchoring your approach to leadership to that, it was so clear. He didn't have to think many times. If he was thinking at all, he probably was thinking about, okay, so what applies in what I know to deal with this situation? It is written. So what do you know? What do you have? What are you committed to? That is that written, that you know will work for you anytime you come to a crossroad in your leadership responsibility. There is strength in it. But some of us tend to do leadership. We lead by doing, not that we were trained or we acquired skills. We are promoted to leadership responsibility without training, without upskilling. So there is nothing written. It's trial and error. Let's be, except you have been exposed to that. But if you have not been exposed to leadership training, and my 30 years plus experience, shows that doesn't happen very frequently. The companies will rather send you on specific courses, not on core leadership development courses. In fact, there's a session that I'll be holding, in a couple of weeks, and it's called the Leadership Advantage. And there, I just want to share some statistics that shows how negligent, organizations are in the development of leadership skills for their people. Yet, they acknowledge that leadership skill is number one in terms of sustenance of the organization. I mean, how can you acknowledge that leadership skills are crucial to the future of your organization and you are not investing in your people developing their skills? So if you are waiting for your organization to develop the skills you need to lead, then you are looking in the wrong direction. It's often the case you have to take the bull by the horns and do it yourself. Now, when you do it yourself, you develop it as a competitive advantage, and the organization will recognize it and take advantage of it. And then you see yourself moving faster than some of the others. Again, that is smartness. All right. Great. So that's it there. And then, again, what are you investing in that relationship? You won't and don't get more from the leader-follower relationship than you invested in it. It's not smartness not to invest in your relationship with your people. And when you do, note that you will not get more from the people than you invest in them. And what are you investing in them? The question is, what do you want from the relationship? If you want them to follow you, what must you invest? If you want them to trust you, what must you invest? If you want them to commit to you, what must you invest? There are things to invest to elicit reciprocity. And the extent to which you are seen to be committed is the extent to which they will be committed to you. Some of us are negligent. Some of us don't exhibit the diligence. And we are demanding that our people should break their necks, all right, being committed to us. It will not happen. Why? Because you are not investing the same thing now. What's your skin in the game? What's your skin in the game? You want me to trust you, but you are not trusting me. Some of us don't trust our people at all. And we show them. And they read it. They see it. Why would you now expect them to trust you? Is that smart? It's not smart. Smartness is that you understand that, look, this is a principle. You will not get more from any relationship that is worth anything without investing in it. You won't get more than you invest. And that would be a shame, because actually, like the seed, if you invest, you should get much more. So that principle should be a motivation for you to commit yourself at a level that when the benefits, will be more than enough for you to get your job done. Smartness. Then let me talk about this, and I'm going to probably end here because I can, so that you'd have an opportunity to make comments and ask questions, and then we can wrap up. And this is a tricky one. For those of us who have teams, do you have an inner circle? Do you have a core group to leverage within your team as a vital inner circle? Now, there's something I know here about how we want to conduct our activities. We don't want to be seen as being partial, or at least so we make it look. All right? Some of us resent the idea of having an inner circle within the team. You don't want people to say that they are sacred cows. But the inner circle I'm talking about, they are not sacred cows. They are not people that you can't touch. The inner circle is made up of those who have shown potential, those who have responded, all right, to your leadership more than others. And the idea of having them is to use them, all right, to influence the others so that the others can catch up. Because you see, at times, team members are influenced at times more by their people, by their colleagues, by their mates by their peers than by the leader. So when you identify certain key people who are influencers among your team, all right, and those people are aligned with you, with your purpose, they have bought into you, you need to bring them close and treat them as an inner circle. Get them to know a lot more about you, so that not for the purpose of them shining, is for at least two purposes. One, you begin to keep your successor, a group in view, because the successor to you should come from there. And two, because you are going to use them to accelerate the transformation, the development of others. So it's strategic. It's not an attempt to be partial. It's not. I had cause to say this, at a session. And for those who share my kind of faith, who could be very sensitive, I said, look, even Jesus had an inner circle. Among the 12, there were 3 who were inner circle members. They went with him to places where some others did not go. They had certain things that some others did not hear. But if we must be truthful to ourselves, they imbibed more from him than others. They were quicker to catch on what he had to offer, what he was teaching, what he was doing, than others. And those 3, emerged as the core leaders when he left. And when you look at it, those 3, all of those 3 wrote books that are today part of the Bible. The 9 others, 8 if you discount, the one who betrayed. The 8 others didn't write books. Does that not tell us something? But he was not partial. No, he wasn't. But look at how the others, the ones who are like the inner circle, leveraged the progress that their colleagues, were the ones in the inner circle, look at how they were able to influence their colleagues. They served to keep the group together, and they did an excellent work of providing leadership after their master had gone. That's the significance of the inner circle. And you need that if you are leading smart. One of the things it saves you as well is that instead of, trying to map your influence on a one-on-one basis, some of that influence you channel through the inner circle members, using them as a catalyst, using them as leaven or yeast. You know what yeast does? Put it in a dough. Everywhere we feel the effect. Everywhere we rise. That's what an inner circle does. That's the inner circle strategy, for effective and smart leadership. All right. Okay. Finally, I have a point here. Some are disappointed when the weaknesses of their subordinates show up. So there's something that happens, you are not there, and as a leader, because they have been with you, you expect them to be able to handle the situation. And they just couldn't handle the situation. You come back and you discover that, they were helpless in the situation. And and what many of us tends to do as leaders, we get upset. We're disappointed. We say, but, you guys, we've handled this thing before. What's the problem? Blah, blah, blah. Rather than seeing the beauty, the positive side of that development, every time your people fail to do something, to rise to an occasion, it exposes their weakness in a particular area. And what is your job as the leader? You should be grateful that you had the opportunity to observe that weakness so that you can move in and deal with it. What if they had left you and gone to take on other responsibilities and you had guaranteed them that yes, these guys are ready, they have what it takes, and then they start messing up where they have gone? Who will be blamed? They will blame them and blame you who, groom them. So you should be happy that those opportunities show up their weaknesses and give you an opportunity for you to deliver more profound results, for you to deliver more profound results, for you to deliver more profound results. That's what a smart leader will be interested in. All right, so let me stop here and give you an opportunity to contribute, or to add a few things, if you will. And so do we have, or ask questions, as the case may be. And your questions can be on what I've spoken about, or it can be on any concern that you may have or challenge you may have in the area of leadership. Again, it's a special session today. It's our masterclass on a good day. We just come during the Smart Leader Live to take questions on leadership. The Smart Leader Live is a component of the Smart Leader program, which is a 30-day program that takes you through, a clear approach to leadership, and it's a video-based program. So if you enroll in that program, you will get a video on daily basis, 30 minutes to 45 minutes video. You can watch it at your own time. You have an assignment to take, by the way, and communicate with us on daily basis over a space of 30 days, and there's a wrap-up video on the 31st day. So you don't need to see me or anybody, but I make myself available on Saturdays at 7 to 8 p.m., so that whoever is on the program, whatever you have gone through, if you have questions, you have the opportunity of interacting with me, asking questions, and asking questions from others who have gone through the program or are currently on the program. And that way, we thought it would be great. And, so the session is open not just to those who are on the program, but also, any other person who is interested in developing their capacity to lead, and their competence. So that's what the Smart Leader Live is. This is every Saturday, and is yours to take advantage of. Is yours to take advantage of. All right, Kenneth, please go ahead and speak. Are you there?
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening, sir. Your mic is muted. Hello, Kenneth, your mic is muted.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, we're hearing you. Hello, go ahead. It appears.
Hello.
Yes, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Yes, myself. Hello. Good evening, sir.
We can hear you, Kenneth. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear us?
Thank you very much. I can hear you. I can hear you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you very much, everyone here. First of all, I want to appreciate you, sir. Some couple of weeks, I attended I was part of this program.
Yeah.
And I indeed, for one reason or the other, I couldn't continue. But I know that the last one was impactful. So what I'm getting to hear today, I know by chance, I don't know how I got your mail, but it's quite enriching, I must confess. And personally, it seems that you were just talking to me, even if positionally I may not be a leader, but it just set me thinking on something. And what really caught my attention is the issue of there's this particular one that you spoke about, talking about, I think there's some talking about how to follow up in terms of, I would say it like this, maybe when a particular improvement is being made by leaders,
Yeah.
and you see yourself getting back, you aren't following what it is. I'm trying to get this slide. That it actually spoke to me, and I just want to ask some few questions.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Talking about what keeps you from leading smart.
Yes.
Um, looking at the areas that you enumerated: overrated self, certified with status quo, ignorance.
Yes.
And I'm now wondering, when you have found that such thing does happen, maybe you didn't take advantage of that, how then do you catch back, even when you still have the opportunity to do so? I really want you to throw more light on that you really want to step in, looking at certain things to, for perhaps you were once resistant. And having learned what you have taught today, you are seeing some characteristics or some traits. You are seeing that, fine, wow, this was actually what was going on. Could this be self, or could it be that I never wanted to be disgraced with self? Then why did I follow through? I've learned so much. So how do you then retrace yourself to see that, yes, you're actually following the leader, not you as a leader now? I'm taking it back as a follower. Thank you, sir.
All right. I okay. Let's.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Hello. Let's have.
Hello.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Who do we
Hello, sir.
have? All right. I've heard you, Kenneth. I'm going to respond to your question. I wanted to see if I could take more than one, so that I can answer them together. Do we have any other? Um, do we have other questions or comments? Do we have any other questions or comments while we're at it? Please feel free. Or is there something that struck you, or something that you don't agree with? I also like to have some feedback. You know, all right.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Another question: how do I register for your class, and how practical is it, online or is it physical? I don't know where we can
No,
actually meet a physical class.
it's online. It's okay. I'm going to post a link to you on the chat, um, and from the chat you can, I will post a link, and
And
then.
I'm also interested in the quiz on leadership personality types.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, let me post. Okay, I'll post a link, a couple of links, and then you can follow the link, and the link will help you to get to the course. Let me do that, and then take your question, right away. So for the Smart Leader program, that's the link. Um, for the there's let me see, for the quiz. For the leadership personality quiz, all right, so I have placed the link for the leadership personality quiz, and also the link for the Smart Leader program. That's the 30-day program, and you can follow them, if you are interested. And if you are interested in the one I call the class of 12, which is the class of truth, um, that also I've just put a link there as well. Sorry, let me put that link. Sorry, just a moment. Just a moment to put the. All right, let me, the point I made about the point I made about where you start to change from. Um, is that like you said, you have to first of all acknowledge that you are not in the right place. Um, you are not there. You are not where you should be. And this would apply whether even to a follower or to a leader. Um, and just having that, being conscious of that fact now should set you thinking to look inwards. All right. Now, you may in fact have areas where you are challenged already. Okay. And so you want to ask, okay, so how do I, address these challenges? All right. And there are different ways of seeking better ways. You can identify people within your immediate environment. It can be your organization. It can be some people that you observe. It appears that they are on top of their game, that they are doing well, they are getting results. And when you are looking at the results of a leader, please don't pay attention to just the numbers alone. All right? The fact that a leader is getting big numbers or recording high KPIs does not mean that they are leading smart or that they are effective. All right? There are some people who lead in a way that most of that result, they are the ones that achieved it, is a result of their effort. It's not a result of the effort of the larger members of their group. That's not how leaders are supposed to work. When you are leading, somebody is following, or at least ought to be following. There is help. Two are better than one. The results must reflect more than you are capable of doing. If he's not doing so, you are not leading. You are the one who is still doing it. All you have is, like an assistant, as we call it, like a boy or a maid. All right, followers are not maids. followers are helpers. They are not just helpers, they are being helped by the leader, all right, to fulfill their potential, all right, to fulfill their potential. And the leader is not doing them a favor. His responsibility is a responsibility to make the people better than you. Leaders make people better than themselves, all right, but they will only be better when you succeed. That's why you don't beat your chest even today as a leader, because your success will not be measured by what you're achieving today. Your success will be measured after you have left the scene. Your success is measured by what do your people accomplish when you are no longer there. That's when we know if you have been successful. So when you are looking at people and you're trying to assess a leader, look more at the people working with the leader than at the results that the leader is getting. The results can be interesting, they can attract you, but go beyond the results to try and find out what contribution do the people under the leader, what contribution are they making to those results. That's the kind of leader that you want to learn from, that you want to use as a benchmark, that you want to secure help from if you are, in the kinds of situations that you have described. Now, of course, you can also locate credible programs, leadership programs that can speak to those challenges, that can help you to build the skills you need, all right, to operate along these lines. That is looking at the kinds of things that we do, and I'm sure there are others who do what we do, but we just bring a specific perspective, to the way that we teach and we build and nurture, leaders. And so you can benefit from that category as well, and you can work with them, people in that category in different ways. Some of it will be by, taking their programs, some of which, I've mentioned. Some of it would be by even coaching. Some of it would be by, I mentioned, the leadership personality quiz. The leadership personality quiz, if you take it, you would go through some questions. Those questions look simple, but there is a methodology, there is a framework behind them. All right, so every answer you give says something about you. And at the end of it, you will see a comprehensive write-up on what we believe your personality type is. And we'd also send a copy to you, to your email. So that, and with suggestions on the things that you need to pay attention to and how you can address some of those things that we observe as shortcomings. So, it's up to you to take advantage of some of the recommendations, but you can at least use the insight if you agree with it. Now, that quiz has been tested. I tested it with my MBA class, and I taught my MBA class, and we got to a point, and I used it during the session for everyone to take the quiz. So while we're at it like this, everyone takes the quiz, and as we're discussing, everyone can take the quiz. If you click on that link, you can immediately go on and take the quiz. And you'll be done in like 2 or 3 minutes, max, and then wait. In fact, immediately you'll be taken to a page that shows you what we believe your leadership personality type is. And your leadership personality type will tell you something about how you are leading. Now, Virtually everyone that took that quiz in the MBA class, one of the things I asked them at the end is, okay, so what's your result? Have you read the summary of your result? And they had. What do you think? Almost 100%. This describes exactly who I am, and of course my approach. And by implication, how effective it explains my effectiveness or ineffectiveness, in my leadership role. So you can have those kinds of um, approaches that assist you, all right, to draw attention to where you are missing it as far as the effectiveness of your leadership is concerned, and your ability to lead smarter, and your ability to lead, smarter. So that's what I would, say at this point. You can always get support either within, from other people who are doing well. They may even be your colleagues, or from senior people within the same organization, or an external organization, and from people like us who offer you training and you know um, other resources such as the quiz. One of the things, for example, that we offer as well is that if you take the quiz and you are that interested, you can reach out and we can do a coaching session based on the quiz. So we'll walk through the quiz together, and using the quiz, explain exactly what's going on with your approach to leadership. What are the things that you need to pay attention to? What are the things that you should, start doing? What are the things you should stop doing? And so you have like a one-on-one personal coaching session, on your leadership, personality vis-a-vis your effectiveness. That's also something that you can take advantage of. So that's it. I hope that speaks to the question that you have asked. What I put on the screen are some of the options that you may want to take advantage of. There is the Smart Leader Program, which is the one for 30 days, and that one is entirely at your convenience. And we have an excellent feedback, um, from people who have gone through that. Some are going through it. There is always somebody on it. Uh, and is certificated. Actually, at the end of the day, you get a certificate. The class of 12 is starting by 29th of September. That requires a lot of commitment, and that will be a live class. I would be leading that discussion over. It's going to meet once every week over 12 weeks. Only 12 people, you know, um, is accommodated in that class at a time. So 12 people will discuss 12 brutal, I call them brutal truths of leadership, as a way of building up. And we'll do that over 12 weeks, at the end of which your guess is as good as mine. I'm not sure anyone can return from that session, without significantly building themselves up in terms of leadership competence. And you can take a coaching call. That's what I was talking about, the leadership personality quiz or assessment. If you want a one-to-one thing, you want immediate intervention, you need immediate assistance, we can use that instrument as a basis for it. And there are people who just want to be able to talk about their leadership challenges. I may not even have mentioned anything thus far, but if they believe that we have what it takes to provide support, then they can reach out and we can have a discussion and, you know, um, fashion out something specifically to address their needs. So that is it. Are there any other comments? We have, my apologies, we have done going to 2 hours. It's usually 1 hour, but like I said, it's a special masterclass. I trust that it has been useful. I couldn't cover all the grounds, as you can see, but and people, a couple of us have asked whether you would have access to the recording. I will make the recording available to you by the grace of God over the course of early next week, so that especially those who didn't join early enough can have the privilege of going through the session, and also, those who started out from, the very beginning can also have recourse, to the session. Um, I encourage you, to use it, as much as you want. The access will be there, unlimited, and you may even share it with other people. That's not a problem. And I hope that, you know the session has been worth your while, and you will join us again next week, Saturday, um, where we'll be taking questions and addressing, you know, different aspects of leadership. And it may well be another master class. You never know. Once the inspiration comes, then we'll just flow with it. But it's been a pleasure, and I'd like to thank you all for attending. If there are no questions or comments or contributions, then perhaps can I have your permission to close this session? All right. Thank you very much. God bless you, and good night.